So, Simon, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So, before we get into Crowdfunder, could we perhaps start by just talking about the early part of your career in terms of design, and then we'll talk about how that turned into becoming Crowdfunder, if that's okay.
So, I mean, I've been told that I should always start with a joke. Right? So
that's good. That's good.
So,
that's why we normally have
the longest and hardest part of my journey to date has been getting here through the traffic of Bournemouth, which has been pretty taxing, and sort of. So that was my joke. Just sort of give us some commentary, some subtitles to laugh out loud. I started. So I studied graphic design a long time ago in London at London College Printing, because that's what I was really interested in, and I didn't do very particularly well at school, and didn't find much else that really interested me and sort of lit my candle, as it were. So but I really loved design, so I went into graphic design. That was in sort of '92, so everything was sort of print-based. The internet was just starting, and they had a couple of Macs in the building. So I sort of went from a very much sort of like hands-on typography, sort of using various bits of strange equipment that you don't see anymore to do my design and silk screen and all that sort of wonderful stuff, into probably quite quickly into the Mac, because I suddenly realised that I could do all this stuff much quicker. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I don't know. And then I graduated from there and sort of went into various design jobs where I was sort of, a designer for hire in various sort of agencies, designing, marketing, branding, all sorts of various other bits and bobs. And then I sort of was watching, I suppose, as everyone was at that point, sort of digital emerging and sort of, or at least becoming a bit more accessible. So people were starting to talk about having a website, or people were starting, I was coming into marketing a little bit. And I managed to convince my boss at the time, at the agency I was in, to let me not do the print catalogues and stuff. I was working in travel stuff, but actually look and focus a little bit on digital. So I was allowed that, and I did that. And so we made some really basic websites and sort of started to give my boss at the time, his marketing, his design company, a different thing that he could sell. And take to his customers and go, oh yeah, we do websites now, so then he was keep retaining customers. From there, I met a pretty sort of innovative bunch in Brighton, a company called Victoria Reel. And Victoria Reel were sort of working, they all came from TV and engineering backgrounds, and they were working in a space which was completely revolutionary, which was actually sort of beyond digital, which was digital and TV. And how do you sort of interact? We did lots of websites there, but the main was on how do you interact with people who are watching something on the television set. So, and red button technology and all that sort of stuff was emerging. So we did a lot of work in that space, which were things like we did the first Big Brother, so you can thank me for Big Brother 1, 2 and 3 we did. At which point we were then done by Endemol, because we were working with Endemol on Big Brother programs. We did sort of the first sort of push button betting for William Hill, sold the first insurance policy for Norwich Union on a remote control, which is a real sort of challenge, massive challenge if everyone's worked in that sort of space. Very little you could do. So from there we sort of just continued working until we were working on various clients. We did sort of UEFA, National Lottery, doing stuff, and we became a bit of a specialist in engaging TV audiences in stuff that they wanted to do. So if it was the lottery, if it was UEFA, it was all these things. And that all came out Big Brother really. From there, what did I do? So from there, we sort of, we all broke up a little bit. I had a kid and decided, because of the company that we were involved in, Victoria Reel, was bought by Endemol, moved to London. I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to commute to Brighton, so I left. This is going into too much detail.
No, carry
on. So I left there and set up my own thing. And then quickly after that, I sort of reunited with who was my boss at that time, one of the founders of Victoria Reel. And we started stalking Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall, because we were trying to sort of cleanse ourselves of all the people that we'd been working for at the time, of big corporates, and wanted to go and do some stuff that we wanted to do. So we started talking to Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall. We approached him, and I think he said, so you want to run our community? We said yes, so he just gave us a mailbag of letters. Literally, that was their digital, that was their sort of correspondence and the way they communicated with their fans. So they gave us that. He gave us that, and we set up River Cottage, sort of digital world, which is now sort of, probably smaller than what it was in terms of it hasn't got the TV exposure that it had, but at the time it was a big sort of digital platform. A farm, which it still is, with cookery schools and all that sort of stuff, and a TV format, again still staying very close to the TV stuff, which we've always done. And through working there, we started to sort of look at campaigns and look at the sorts of things that Hugh was tackling as a person and as he was doing with River Cottage, with things like trying to get people to connect to their food, the sources of their food, all that sort of stuff, laws around fishing and fish waste and all that sort of kind of like sustainability issues. And he was getting Channel 4 commissions to go and tell these stories and shine a light on these things. And at the same time, we were also then getting digital commissions, which was quite a new thing. So they were getting a commission to make the programme, and we were getting a commission to make the stuff that gave a user something to do beyond the programme. So you can sit and shout at the screen, but what are you going to do? You know, so we were giving them something to do. And our first sort of, we did Chicken Out, which sort of, supposedly changed the shopping habits of a nation in terms of, free-range chicken sold out. There was a massive supply issue that stopped bringing it over from France. Sort of thing was happening, so we were sort of doing those types of behavioural change campaigns. And then we did Fish Fight, and then we sort of came across another one, which was, and I'm getting to a point, this will lead to Crowdfunder. We came across, we did another one which was called Land Share. And essentially Land Share was to try, it was another thread, another programme idea. Land Share was an idea to bring people who had land that they weren't using together with people who were looking to grow. So it was to try and get people connected with food, jump the queue for the allotments, which is in some places 7 or 10 years, and get people growing. So it was a dating site really for people who had land, people who wanted to grow. And through all these projects that we were doing, so I think we put together like 70,000 matches across the country of people doing that. And through all that activity, we were building these communities that were going, okay, so you've got us doing that, you've taken us on this journey, what should we do now? And it was the case of we were having a sort of production meeting around what we do now, what we do next. We were a small agency at this point, farmed a lot of our work out, so we had sort of tech happening in Bulgaria, most of our stuff was building sort of with developers over there, we had freelance designers and all that sort of stuff going on. So we decided that the next thing to do, after having definitely saw Kickstarter before we set up Crowdfunder, we looked at what Kickstarter were doing, and actually we think we could do a really good job of that over here for the types of communities that we were building. So instead of it being about product or like Indiegogo, like the watch that makes you invisible or whatever it might be, we're going to do it around the communities that we've brought together. So essentially at the heart of it, it's around, and that's probably what's shaped our brand the most, is around social community and people doing something that is giving back within their community. So we have, so we did that. We built a small version of Crowdfunder in-house, and we put it out as a project, and then we pointed out communities that we built. So we pointed Fish Fight and River Cottage and all these other people, and going, right, there's a platform here that you guys can continue continue your conversation, whether that's if you want to go and grow together and you need to buy a shed or some equipment, and you can go here and raise money to do it.
So in fact, you literally had your. So one of the things that always fascinates is how people end up where they are, and that, so the reason I let you ramble on in your words was just to try and figure out how you go from being embedded in design, albeit digital design and TV, to go to founding a crowdfunding agency. And you sort of answered quite a few of my questions there. But one of the important things is you almost had your first customers, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
To a certain degree. But how long did that transition take from being in an agency where you're thinking, oh, we could do this Kickstarter thing a bit better, and then to actually going, A, let's do it, and then B, building out a product to say, or a platform that says, why don't you go there and see if you can raise some money? Yeah,
so it was a while. It wasn't overnight. It certainly was, if we didn't have the agency around it which was paying us to survive, we wouldn't have done it. Because probably, we were a little bit older, weren't sort of quite, we have kids and mortgages and that sort of stuff. It's hard to sort of, go, doesn't matter, we can go without eating, or I don't have any real commitments, so we were having to work around it.
So is it under the brand of the agency?
Yeah. So we spun it out as our own project, and there was no staffing, there was no structure, and it was all being serviced by, I was a designer on it, and our developer, we'd phone them up and go, we haven't really got any money, can you just do a little enhancement, that sort of stuff.
So when you started, what was did you have a how many of you started it? Were there 4 of you together?
There's two or three original founders, two really original founders, but so it's myself and my main business partner Rob, and then I suppose at a point where it grew, that's where I think we'd say that's when that's when we got serious about it, when we decided that we're going to have to make a decision about all this other stuff we're doing, or we're going to go for it, and that's where our other founders would come in, which is at this point where we probably about 2 years into the journey, or about a year and a half into the journey.
So that conversation with Rob, when you came with this initial idea, what did you and Rob have in your head of where you thought it might go? Was it literally just let's do this and have a bit of fun and see, or was it at the back of your mind? Was there always a bigger thing there?
So strangely, we were. So the full picture is that we were in a TV company called Keo Films. Keo Films is a documentary company. They make River Cottage. They own the rights for that. Hugh Fearnley with us was on board. He's an owner of it, a founder, etc. So we're doing the digital stuff within there, right? And actually, we're seeing these great stories come in, and we think the route forward for this, what this project is going to be about, is going to be about casting brilliant stories. They're going to make amazing documentaries about. So that's actually what we thought it was to start off with. It was sort of like a casting tool. It was a way of furthering the stories that we were telling through the TV company and our digital platforms to go and see where those stories go. So but then that very, very quickly became, actually there's much more than that, because we had, I think one sort of big project moment was we had this guy called Andrew Denham, I think, and he was based in Frome, and he had this brilliant idea to crowdfund a bike workshop, so you can learn how to make a bike frame. You pay 250 quid, and you learn from people who know how to make bike frames. You go and make the bike frame. At the end of the day, the bike frame gets sent to a village in Africa, and you've learned the skills, and the bike frame has gone somewhere else. And if you want to pay 500 quid, then you can make 2 bike frames and you can have one, sort of thing. So he had that model, and it went nuts. It was literally like, it went within 2 or 3 days, and it was the fastest project, and it had nothing to do with our world or anything. He had this idea.
So how did he find you, or did you find him?
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, we had a big network. Yeah, I couldn't answer that, and he found us. He appeared on the site, like so many of our projects do. But
so by that time, you literally had a platform that enabled you to go and put your project on and start to ask for money, and this sort of just appeared.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just appeared, like so many of our amazing projects do. They do literally just appear, and you think, we're surprised every day with sort of stuff that arrives. Some of it we can't talk about, some of it.
Yeah, of course.
It's a bit weird. That's what it is. Nothing secret.
We can always cut the video. So was it at that point that where you started to think, actually, this might be bigger than we think it might be?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's quite hazy now.
It was a while ago, wasn't it?
Definitely. It was a while ago, yeah. Probably about 6, back then, actually longer than that. Yeah, probably about 8 years ago. Those sort of 10.
And so did you start to spend more time on the platform and less at the agency?
Yeah.
And how did that transition? Because I know that's when you've got a side gig.
Yeah. So there was a brilliant point where we had these 2 companies, and one was doing the design and development on Crowdfunder, and we were cross-billing and just going, hold on. and then none of us were focusing on anything else, so we weren't winning any more clients. So we were like, hold on, this doesn't make any sense. So we literally, everyone who worked for our agency, which was called Sea Change at the time, Sea Change Agency, pretty much just ended up working for Crowdfunder. And we just thought, well, we don't need to, and all the conversations we were having with people when they phoned up to talk to talk with Sea Change, was like, we ended up doing lots of campaigns, but all these people had money, so we were telling them to go on Crowdfunder to raise some money to come and spend with Sea Change. So it's just a bit like, it's a bit of a weird thing going on there.
And by that sort of time, can you remember what sort of numbers of projects you were running on the Crowdfunder platform?
It was small. So I remember we used to have one of our developers that would be fun, was that if every time there was a transaction, he'd make a little bell ring in the office or something like that, and we ended up switching that off quite quickly. So it started to, the transactions picked up. Good projects bring lots of transactions, but the project ads, were slow, and then they sort of ramped up probably about, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and they just go up and up.
And was it at that point that you became, so that the Sea Change Agency sort of became Crowdfunder?
Yes, yeah.
And so how many people would that have been?
So we're about 40 now. We've just scaled up a little bit because we've sort of taken on a few new sort of corporate partnerships. So we've been around sort of 25 for a while, but yeah, the sea change, coming from sea change, was probably around, probably about 8 from sea change into the main crew.
So still, and what role did you have in the agency? Were you still a jobbing designer?
No, I was a founder. So
you were a founder. You founded the agency, okay.
Yeah.
So you were used to running a team, and so that transition.
So we've been doing that.
Okay.
So when we were in Keo, it was actually sort of my business that I set up within Keo. Well, one of my partner's business was set up within Keo. It's Keo Digital. So that was an internal business that we set up within the film production.
So going from 8 to 25 is still quite a step change.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And so how did you get there? Did you fund that literally through commission from projects? Were there other funding coming in?
Yeah, so we've had other funding. So we've got a lot of shareholders. We've taken quite a bit of investment along our journey. Early investment were Nesta. So Nesta invested in us early days and have continued to support us and run our board. Some individuals sort of coming along that journey, and then we've gone and done other fundraisers on equity fundraisers on Crowdfunder on a couple of occasions.
So talk us through how the platform's evolved over the last few years. Because even when you guys started, crowdfunding was relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was still lots of questions about how it worked. And obviously, crowdfunding's platform is very different from other platforms. It focuses on community and rewards based. Can you just talk us through that over the transition over the last couple of years?
So we're a rewards-based platform. So if you know so much about crowdfunding, there's various types. So there's donations like Just Giving. There's rewards, which is generally a bit like Kickstarter. You need to go, you're getting something back. It's not an investment. We have so that's us, but we also have lots of projects that actually just take donations as well, because of what they're doing. People don't want the reward; they just want to see the project happen. And then there's peer-to-peer lending, which we don't do or get involved in, and then there's equity, which Crowdcube do and we don't. And Crowdcube are actually sort of in our family, but they're not. We don't do equity at all. So and we do another product called Community Shares, which is communities buying things through crowdfunding, and they take an ownership of it under different structures. That tends to be sort of like CIs, community interest companies. And the community go out and buy the pub that the brewery owned, but no one wants to go in because the brewery owned it and they want to take it over and turn it into something great, which is happening a lot. So we're mainly in the reward space. That's our sort of bread and butter. What was the question?
So how it's transitioned over the last couple of years and how it's changed?
Yes. So we started just with straight rewards. So that Andrew, the Bicycle Academy project, one of our sort of early ones I mentioned, straight rewards. Like you support this project, you come along to the course, and that's what you get. So rewards, a good exchange, nice easy exchange. We've probably started to get more and more projects that actually just get donations as well, so just donations, but they would normally have a reward on there, but people want to do something. People might want a reward, might not. And then another thing that we do, which is I suppose one of our USPs, is that we've got coaching. So I couldn't tell you what the head count is for some of our competitors, but part of our head count is because we, significant number of we support the projects, right? So we work in partnerships, which I'll talk about in a second, but that brings coaching teams. So to support our partnerships, we have coaching teams. So we've got 4 or 5 people in Scotland as a team of coaches in Scotland. We've got a load of people, 8 or 9 people down in Cornwall who are doing coaching and customer support. And they're there, not for every project, so we have a couple of fee structures. So we have free, 0% for personal causes and charities and those types. They will tend to go through and crowdfund on their own. And then we have the rewards based on the 3%, which is our sort of pricing structure. Within that pricing structure, you're likely to get support, you can get some coaching, you can get a one-on-one, you can join an accelerator sort of Facebook group and get coaching from our team. So those are our sort of main sort of products that the project owners can sort of access and go into. And then around that, we also have something which we call extra funding. And our extra funding is very, very sort of unique to us. We hold about 7 or 8 million pounds of other people's money. So it's the money that Dorset County Council want to put into youth clubs to support youth clubs. clubs, it's the money that Birmingham Council, City Council are trying to tackle obesity with, or it's the money that Santander CSR funding want to sort of try and help communities prosper and sort of put some of their CSR money back into it. It's the money that we've got £1 million for RBS, from RBS, which is it's the RBS group money, which is for NatWest in England and Wales, and RBS Bank in Scotland and Ulster Bank in Northern Ireland, to support female entrepreneurs, to get females starting their ideas, turning their ideas into business startups.
And so this extra funding is in addition to the crowdfunding?
So it's in addition, but only accessible to crowdfunding, through crowdfunding. So you go onto the platform and you may or may not know about it, depending on how good our marketing is. You may or may not know about it, and you start filling in your what we call the project flow. You start filling information about your project, what you're going to do. You pick some categories, you say how much you want to raise, you put your postcode, and whilst you're doing that, you're kind of being profiled for this pot of money, or these pots of money. And so you might get a pop-up. So if you're doing something that's completely irrelevant and self-centered, no one's going to support you in terms of, none of our partners are going to support you. But if you're trying to, the really easy one to use is that if you're trying to set up a youth photography club or silkscreen printing club in Dorset, you're going to get a pop-up saying, hey, we can give you up to £10,000 or match fund 50% of what you're trying to do, because us, Dorset Council, are trying to sort of, trying to give young people something to do. So we've got all this money from these different partners, and we run these sort of partnerships to a bigger or sort of, lesser extent in terms of our involvement with them.
So can we talk through the actual process of getting on the site, in terms of what are the bounds of what you can put on the site and what you can't put on the site?
You can't do anything. You can't promote hate. You can't be.
Can everybody hear? Okay.
Sorry. You can't be racist. You can't be misogynistic. You can't break the law. You can't sell guns. You can't offer drugs or sexual services. There's sort of basic sort of our terms and conditions. Everything else goes really. But that's not our call, right? So it's not up for us. We don't sit. We will look and judge. Well, we will look at projects that are flagged to us, in terms of sort of that might be breaking the law, and we have lawyers that sort of look at that and review that, and we do take stuff down, and we review and scan and sort of fraud alert going on, all that sort of stuff. But essentially, your project will only get funded if you can get the first bit, if you can get the support yourself. So if you're going to do something that's absolutely nuts, or no one's going to buy into, or anything else, then you won't get funded. So it will go on the platform, but no one will see it. We'll never get into our trending, we'll never get into our stories, we'll never get on the homepage or anything like that. That only comes with activity.
So when you go, when you list, is the view then that the quality will rise to the top and the good stuff, or is that, or do you need to take you need to take an amount yourself that you've sort of got pre-promised by Aunt Bertha and things?
Definitely. So there's very little putting an idea up, with the exception of maybe something like, we can talk about it, led by donkeys or something like that. There's very little putting something up which just will trend and snowball on its own accord. You normally need to go in, when you crowdfund, you need a pretty solid plan. You need to think about it like a marketing campaign. You need to know who your first sort of, I don't know, what is it, 10, 20, whatever percent our coaches will tell you. It needs to be your first sort of, money in the bag, ready to go, because everyone wants to back something that looks like it's got momentum, it's got movement going on, and you have to do that. There's no sort of getting around that. So we get lots of people come on the platform and go, crowdfunding was crap because crowdfunder were crap because no one backed my idea, and you look at their idea and they haven't even put a fiver in it. It's like, well.
and so you're I don't think quite happy is the wrong word, but you're content to let those guys list them fail. Not that's a bad. I think that's a good thing. You sort of.
Yeah, we let the crowd sort out.
Decide.
Yeah. We're completely democratic in that sense, with the exception of we're safeguarding the audience and making sure that nothing that's illegal is going on there, obviously. But
so in fact, if you've got an idea, you can give it a punt.
Normally, a lot of our sort of, I suppose, what we call our the projects that are really close to our heart are things like cafes, community cafes that are helping, that are providing sort of somewhere for someone to go to that are suffering from mental health problems, or a community outreach program that's and if that doesn't get delivered, it tends to be noticed, but it's different. You find that the people who are crowdfunding for that have got every intention of delivering it, and it doesn't break down on a supply chain from a bit of tech coming from somewhere else in the world that's out of their control. So we tend we just, in the hundreds of thousands of projects we've had like next to nothing in terms of sort of issues like that.
And you raised it there, so let's talk about, it's a little bit off kilter, but let's talk about Led by Donkeys then.
Yes.
As you raised it. Do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Does anyone know what Led by Donkeys is? Yeah,
it's worth explaining.
So Led by Donkeys was it was four dads. They called themselves four dads with a ladder, and they were so disillusioned by what was going on and felt powerless. What was going on around sort of what is going on around the whole Brexit debate, is that they decided that they were very creative and very bright. They came up with this idea just to simply, let's just put the tweets that they said beforehand up on a billboard and see how people react to that. So Boris Johnson said, "Fuck business." He tweeted that, and that was before he was sort of in charge and sort of So they put that up in front of the car manufacturing factory in Solihull that was sort of making whatever it was. So they put that up, but they did it with a ladder and blown up photocopies themselves. And then they started to go around the country and do more of these, and they found out what was the other Boris Johnson's got? He's Brexit will be a Titanic success, which was another one. And they just put that up. It's like, brilliant. Okay, read that now in context of what's going on. So they started doing things like that, and they started to get a load of followings on Twitter. So they set up a Twitter channel. They got picked up by the Guardian, and they were sort of proper Guardian sort of spaces and that. And there was an article written about it. We got in touch with them and said, look, you can't keep going like this. They were reaching a point where they were going to get arrested, and so we can't keep going like this. We sent them. We contacted them on Twitter. They came back and they phoned back and sort of said, "We want to remain anonymous. Can't give you my name or anything like that. But what do you think we could do it?" And we were like, "Yeah, you could probably raise £10,000. That would be fine." Anyway, it's almost knocking on £1 million at the moment. So it's just gone like that, and it's just captured like this whole campaign, and that's come from absolutely nothing. That's one of those things where you sort of be totally different to planning your food startup on Crowdfunder or your sort of cafe where you need to have everyone lined up. They just sort of, they just went for it and got it. And we took it. We had this we thought was a smart idea. We took it to Cannes, to the advertising awards. We entered it into Cannes, the Cannes Lions festival, and we thought, this is easy. We're going to clean up because it's such a good idea. And we thought we're going to enter it as, when you fill out the form, it says who's the agency. It was just four dads, anonymous. We put that in the field, and then it said who's the client, and we said 17,000 people. And we thought we're definitely going to get it. Anyway, they didn't even nominate us. We went out there expecting to come on, absolutely nothing. We thought it was a slam dunk.
But they've just gone over. I haven't seen the late, but they've gone over 1 million, have they?
They're pretty close to it. They've done a few campaigns now, so they're very, very close. 20,000 supporters or whatever it is. So it's just been phenomenal. There's a book coming out on the 31st. There's a book coming out. An amazing story. And just really the power of crowdfunding. They have now been nominated for the awards. We're up for 3 drum awards the week after next for that one. And it's just sort of really exciting because you sort of think, well, actually, our message to the Cannes audience there a little bit was, actually people can get their message out. It doesn't all have to come from brands, and there is a new thing happening here, which is, I want crowdfunding adverts on TV. I think, not for crowdfunding, that'd be nice, but a crowdfunded TV ad. There's a guy who's on our platform at the moment who's raised 100 grand or 200 grand or something for billboard campaigns around where he lives in London for where he is specifically about the air pollution issue. Because his view is like no one's doing anything about it, and he's called it, I think it's called the Public Health Institute or something like that, and he's trying to sort of mimic old sort of kind of like government sort of information board type stuff, and he's doing it himself, and I think that's really, really exciting.
So where do you think this could go then? I mean, what do you think the limit is for this sort of stuff?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I think there's a lot more normalisation of crowdfunding. I think there's a lot of people still who don't know about it. We're still on a learning curve in terms of sort of like teaching people about what we do and trying to get them sort of doing it better. We've got significant partnerships with the likes of RBS Bank, where we're doing sort of some really, really interesting CSR programs which see them as an organisation with 60,000 employees doing something, not just giving money to people over there, but actually engaging everyone within the organisation to do the same thing we're doing with Aviva. You know, those types of partnerships are going to change and start to sort of like normalise a bit of what we're doing. You know, there's not a lot of money around for people to do things and create projects in their areas. There's not a lot of money in you know, frontline support and all those sorts of things. You know, it's no coincidence about what's going on, and that one of our biggest categories is mental health problems, mental health projects. People's and communities doing it, you know, is trying to sort that out for themselves. We have them all the time. So, you know, it feels there's a lot of growth still, and I wouldn't know whether or not that would be the same conversation that you'd have at Indiegogo, where it's around products. I think for our space and where we're at the moment around, you know, working within communities and those types of things, that there's so much more. You know, there's so much more growth there.
Do you think there's a danger that you start to have to become a little bit more controlling of what goes on the platform that doesn't? So say the Led by Donkeys example, you presume there's no reason why somebody with an opposing view couldn't do exactly the same thing and do the... So, do you think you start to end up with potential challenges there?
Yeah, and we've had them. So one of the biggest, most famous projects we had was the Trump balloon, right? So when Trump came and visited a few years ago, these creatives put this idea, made a massive blimp of Donald Trump and floated it around everywhere Donald Trump was going in London, right? So that raised 30 or 40 grand, right? Pissed a lot of people off. It was in every single headline and was in every paper internationally. It was insane, you know, and it didn't actually raise that much money, but it was just a statement. And then someone else, in reply to that, said, I'm going to do a Sadiq Khan balloon because Sadiq Khan should not have allowed Donald Trump balloon to be flown. You know, he's an international leader, he's our sort of #1 ally, and that shouldn't have been allowed. So he did a Sadiq Khan balloon, and interestingly, it raised twice as much money as the Trump balloon, but no one went to the launch. So it's like really, really weird. So it's like we have like the opposing argument going on all the time. You know, and we don't pick a side, but you know. Is it a coincidence that? Yeah, I don't know.
Is it quite difficult? Because you must see these things coming in.
Yeah.
And is it quite difficult to take a back seat and go, right, no, we're just going to let the crowd decide? And what happens if somebody comes? There must be something where do you think there's going to be a line where all of a sudden you go, we're not having that on the platform?
Yeah,
that's wrong.
Certainly. Yeah, there will be, I'm sure, at some point. But you know, the crowd, if it's not breaking the law, and we feel that it's not sort of, you know. Yeah, we have to be careful. We have to maintain our sort of level of impartiality. I think as soon as we do that, then we become a media agency or a news company or whatever, and then you know, it's tricky. But that hasn't happened yet to an extent where that's become really problematic.
Yeah, excellent. Any questions at this point?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think the biggest challenges have always been around the momentum of the product, so the website. You know, so how do we keep stuff happening? I'm really impatient, so fast enough, and you know, develop stuff to a point of quality that you think you get a fair go at whether or not it's a good idea or not. I've got this thing that, you know, you can put something out to test with an audience, a product, but if you've done it really, really quickly, you're not going to get a fair or a decent view of whether or not it was a good idea or a bad idea. And I think that, so development, we have a brilliant development team, but it's always slow, you know, because there's so much demand on there.
So on the point, you now have 40 people. How's that team split? You mentioned you've got a few coaches. How's the rest of the team split?
So we have a number of coaches. As I say, we've got a team who are sort of dedicated on our sort of biz dev team, as it were. So they're working with sort of winning new business in terms of our partnerships. That's pretty much all we do in terms of biz dev. So talking to local authorities, trying to sound as many local authorities as possible, as well as working with corporates and sort of, you know, sort of defining what the corporates want and getting them onboarded. We've got a development team, so we've got a team of 4 or 5 developers. We have, and they're in Cornwall, so we have an office in Cornwall where they are, and then I have an office in Bridport where there's about 10 of us, and I'm sort of creative director, and we have the design in the building there. So we have a designer, we have a couple of designers, we have a marketing team, so there's four in marketing there. and that marketing is based around what we're doing for our brand, but also what we do deliver for partnerships. So some of our partners will pay us to market their funds or market sort of on their behalf. So we do that for them as well from there. And what else do we have? That's probably about it. Yeah, the coaching and customer support team. So customer support as well as coaching.
So can we talk about the partnerships a little bit more? So how does the partnership work? Say for example with Dorset Council. Or how does that work?
So Dorset Council a few years ago lost lots of money from central government to their youth programmes. They had to close something like 30 or 40 youth clubs across Dorset. It might have been more. I can't remember what the figure was that they lost, but it was a significant amount. So it meant that their youth clubs that were in a lot of the towns no longer would just be getting their sort of regular grants to keep on offering a sort of youth service, which was a youth club, which for some kids was the only social outing they'd have or the thing they could afford to go to. So they lost the money to do that. And what we've been doing with local councils is sort of amplifying the funding that they have, right? So if they have less amounts, so Dorset County Council lost millions, but they had, I think it's £200,000. They could give us £200,000 a year for a 3-year programme to give to projects that are crowdfunding for youth projects that are crowdfunding with sustainable ideas, right? So they had far less money than they had, but they found that they had this smaller amount. They put it on the platform. It comes with criteria, so it's got to involve young people. It needs to be accessible, so you can't have a youth club that will charge kids 20 quid to come into. But I could set up something that's an activity. It could be for young people to do something. So we've had some young people access it to go and make a film. It's occupied 5 teenagers for 2 weeks, and they've raised 500 quid. So it's that sort of thing. So they go onto the platform. They start telling us what they do. And then they go into a further application fund if what they're doing resonates with that, connects to that, the criteria of that fund.
And is the application all part of the crowdfunding platform?
It's all part of the crowdfunding platform. Okay. Yeah. There is a point where you might end up talking to a human. So there is a certain amount. Some of our partners are a little bit more automated than others. Some of them, for the back of business program, it's female. We have to do a lot more sort of checks. We have to find out more about what we've traded before. So there's various sort of different types of criteria that some partners will have tighter criteria, and others will have slightly less. But mostly the application process is run through the platform, and the money is received back through the platform. So it's literally the case that if you get approved for it, you'll be crowdfunding for your £10,000 target, and when you reach £5,000, another £5,000 from Dorset County Council will appear on the project.
And how do you guys go about getting projects? So we get a lot through Google, we get a lot through reputation. Our biggest sort of source of projects are from people who have backed a project before. So normally our project owners have gone, actually we could crowdfund that. I crowdfunded my mate's project, or I supported that cause. So they know a bit about it already. So that's one of our best and sort of most reliable sources. So through our own marketing, so we run a lot of marketing, so Facebook sort of posts and targeting marketing and all that sort of stuff, and also through our partnerships. So we do a lot of marketing through our partnerships. So lots of projects will come in because they've heard that they can access extra funding, match funding through crowdfunding. In Deverell, because there's £20,000 for this type of project and that type of project, so they're coming through that. Just on the repeat customer stuff, what have you got a feel for what percentage of projects are repeat by repeat customers?
Projects. Well, we've got 2 types of audience. We've got projects. We've got backers. So we've definitely got a growing number of repeat backers, and it's brilliant. Sort of looking through. You can just do it through the front end. Look at a project like, the political ones are really interesting. You look at a political one, you go and click on that person's profile. You see that they've supported 10 other ones of the similar sort of vein. So we're growing. We've got a growing repeating sort of repeat user database from a backer's point of view, and also growing from a project owner's point of view. So we've got a number of, I couldn't really give you a stat on it, we've definitely got a growing number of repeat project owners. So people who've come back and gone, that's worked, or I'm taking the first idea onto the next level. Led by Donkeys is one of those. They came on, did that one, and they've gone and done 4 or 5 others all under the same banner.
And is it a challenge to keep the donators growing at the same rate or in the correct rate for the number of projects? Because you don't end up with is the same people giving to projects again and again.
Yeah, again, that's we have anywhere between 120 to 200 projects added a day, right? So they don't all go live, and some of them will be on a really long, slow journey to going live. But the ones that come on and go live, the first rule of crowdfunding is, you've got to plan that. You've got to bring your crowd. So they're bringing the crowd. We're not going at this point. We're not going, bring your project here because we've got a load of people going to fund it. That's sort of a bit of a misconception, and the people who leave complaining about us are the people who came in thinking that.
Yeah.
So we will look at our audiences. We're always doing a lot of work around our audiences and going, well, if you like that, you might like that type of stuff. You've got to be really careful with that as well, because you get people supporting personal causes that you definitely don't want to go, you like that, so you might like that. It's really, but there's lots of stuff like that. So the political stuff's a really easy one. So you can go, you supported the Greens, there's a whole load more Greens over here. You supported that. So we do a lot of that, but it is really the backer numbers has to start with project owners. The project owners have to bring that. They have to do the hard work there. We definitely measure. Project ads is a really interesting number, but actually project ads might not at all relate to projects funded. So we might have a really quiet day in terms of project adding, but a really busy day on funding. So international is definitely a space that we're looking at, and international for us would mean probably landing somewhere with a partner. So we're looking at partnerships that we could to go somewhere into a new territory and just be a crowdfunding platform. There's a lot out there. So how can we bring our USP to a new territory? So that's definitely something we're looking at. So that would be with a partnership. We're also looking at ways that we can shake up the giving market. So how can we offer something different there? And we know that the charities that we do work with, they've had GDPR didn't really help in many ways. They lost significant sort of their donor databases. Emerging sort of tech. Your banking apps have made it a lot easier to cancel direct debits. So lots of people go, you're paying that. The last 10 years, I've got no idea where it's come to. So they're cancelling, so they're losing a lot of those sorts of regular donors, and they see crowdfunding as a really interesting way to re-engage and create new donors. So the work that we've done with charities has been really interesting. That the charities will come on, and what they're not doing is going, we're with this charity, just give us some money, like they do on just. So not just giving us work at all, it's absolutely amazing, but. They're not. They're giving to on crowdfunding. They're aligning a project around a fundraising activity. So they're telling a story. So it's about stories. So it's like really exciting.
I suppose it makes it a lot more transparent, doesn't it?
It's much more transparent.
RNLI or local, they've struggled with that recently in terms of some transparency issues. And I suppose from that perspective, if they can fund project by project by project, then people know exactly where they're.
So they know where the money's going. And there's a story around it, and they're creating more sort of in terms of sort of marketing and assets and all that sort of stuff. But what they're also getting is new donors. So when we've done some stuff with charities in the past, and 80% of the people that have supported them on Crowdfunder have been people that have not supported them before. But they're supporting them for that one time, and at this point in time we've purposely stayed away from doing subscription recurring payments because we actually think that's not what crowdfunding is about. Well, we've definitely had conversation with them. I know that much. I don't work so much with charities. We've got a person who's sort of dealing with.
Yeah, but they're building like five new lifeboats a year. Yes. But each one of those could be a crowdfunding project.
Yeah. There's one conversation we might have around defibrillators in harbours and ports. That might be one there. Yeah. Around sort of crowdfunding, because we've done quite a few of those, like sort of the community buying a defibrillator and locating that near to the RNLI type station. Yeah. That's an interesting one because it probably also depends on what else is going on. So if it's a quiet day, not that much. If it's like if led by donkeys, if just sort of one of those other big ones have just launched a campaign, then you're going to struggle against, because some of it is maths, and there's lots of clever. I'm told it's clever sort of relative sort of like stuff going on there, which is in proportion to what your target is. So you're not just going up against. So if you've got a 5k project and you're up against a £1 million one, it's not always going to be that one that wins. It's all relative.
I presume that's something the coaches could help you with. Is that
they'll
timing
talk
of
you through how to do all that sort of stuff, and and give you advice on one of our sort of coaches who's sort of done a bit of work, because we've had some like sort of affiliate coaches, and he just came up with this brilliant thing. It was like, well, you launch your project on this day because then you get 2 paydays from people. I was like, yeah, that's really interesting. It's like on insight. Right, so don't launch it sort of, towards it, launch it so you get 2 paydays. But yeah. You need to have all those conversations around the back, which are you're good for 20 quid, yeah, you're good for a tenner, and sort of go around and have all those conversations that you know that when you're ready to go and you're going to go out and shout out beyond your first. So we have these guides that coaches have put together. They're really good. So in there, they're like a handbook on how to do it. We have this little diagram which is just sort of concentric circles, I think, and you just start kind of like filling that in about who's your first 50 from, who's the sort of the person you can trust for this or whatever.
I mean, I don't know anything about what the crowdfunding numbers are, but I know on some of the equity platforms, if you haven't got 60% of your money guaranteed, you've got no chance of making the 100%. And it's a huge. I didn't have any clue that it was that huge a proportion. I dare say it's not that equivalent, but it's something you obviously need to be aware of because you don't want to go in low.
You don't want to waste your time.
Not waste your time.
Say you'll come and
it's not a small amount of effort.
But that doesn't mean that. But that's still relying on your network, right?
Yeah,
but you need to get like it's something like 20% or something is a good indication to sort of go. This project's got something behind it, and you do see lots of people go live on zero, and you're like, and it's really really hard. It's really a real struggle.
Do you have to raise the whole amount on your platform to get it, or
you have the options?
Right.
So
Okay.
We call it all or nothing or flexi funding. So
right.
you can. I like all or nothing. I find flexi funding is perfect for some projects, but actually, if you're all or nothing, there's jeopardy there. Your users are sort of bought into it. It's a bit of a sort of like white knuckle ride.
Yeah, skin in the game.
Yeah, and you'll find that your backers will go and share it more because they put in, come on, it's going to close in 24 hours and then you know whatever. I think it's a bit more interesting, and also it feels a little bit more genuine in that. Again, totally around what type of project it is. But if you need £5,000 to do your idea and you close on 3 and take it, how are you going to do your idea? That doesn't sort of build trust or sort of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So those types of projects we tend to kind of recommend that we'd also advise on the right structure. So we encourage that. It's really, really hard to get everyone to do that. But a lot of the backers would find out about the project because they have their reward. They go to the event or they see it on their high street. That's a number of them. But certainly our sort of our partners want to see, they want like follow-up surveys. They want to see the impact as best they can, fed back in terms of sort of what's actually happened. So they through the system we'll give those projects and we'll publish surveys based around surveys.
So with the extra funding model, is there any official tracking of that? As in, do you need to report back?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the people on the projects need to actually report back.
So there'll be conditions on that money. So when you apply for the money, that will be within there, and they'll say something like, if we want a quarterly or a 6-month update on what you've done, depending on what it is. So they like to get a report and feedback on what's happening. And I think there's much more there, sort of, in terms of really kind of like exploring that area in terms of sort of showing the real impact from a data point of view, what's going on your platform.
Great questions, thank you. Right, so I think we've got a few minutes left. What I want to talk about is that we were talking about just before that I wasn't really aware of. Your new key development.
Yes.
So I think so do you want to just explain what that is and then explain why it's not in Bridport? Actually, you probably don't need to explain what's in Bridport.
We were thinking about, because we have a lot of people come into the office and go, come and ask us about startup, loans, not loans, raising funds for their startups and getting advice and all that sort of stuff. So we started this grand idea of expanding and getting premises and turning our premises into a work hub, so buying somewhere. And we were about to buy the building next door to us, and we had this money that was we had money from the government, I think it was sort of European money, to buy this building, and then that building fell through, and then we found this hotel. So we bought this hotel. We bought a 56 or 57 bedroom hotel. It was an absolute wreck. It was just for stag do's and hen do's and school kids. So plastic covers on all the bedding, all that sort of stuff. So we're currently in the process of renovating that, and that's called C Space. Crowdfunder space. And the idea there is that that's going to be our sort of main office in Cornwall. And we've got all these other rooms for other people to come in and sort of join us, and sort of, so you can come in and you can contribute to the community and teach somebody something, or give some, do some design work for someone, or you can just pay and have a desk. There's lots of ways for people to get in. We sort of like, yeah, that's what we're doing.
You're sort of linking yourself back into the community.
Yes.
And do you think that's going to, is that potentially a model that you're going to be looking to do elsewhere, or is it just a...
Yes, yeah. So that's something we're looking to sort of like, that could be portable. So we're working, we're in a work hub at the moment in Bristol called the LSI, and we're working very closely with them, not necessarily about that model, but working very closely with them about, there's and I don't know necessarily if this is the same issue in Bournemouth, but where we are in Newquay and where we are in Bristol, definitely those two places, they don't have the skills. So immediately, there that we need to grow our business. So we're kind of like the last few years thinking, how do we grow that? And part of that is to sort of, embrace the community that we know sort of are there, but are all working from their bedrooms or aren't quite, so we're bringing them in, and we're going to give people a place to sort of work and hopefully connect with us and sort of help us sort of further.
And will they have to be linked to the crowdfunding platform to use the space?
No,
just completely separate.
So we've got, as part of that partnership, we've got Cornwall Food Foundation, who run Jamie Oliver's 15 down there, so they're going to have part of the space there, and they're going to be running an apprenticeship sort of canteen there, which will be serving everyone who's in the building, so anyone who's part of Crowdfunder or part of the C-Space sort of crew, and also it's going to be operated by Rio, which is a Real Ideas organisation. They're based in the southwest, and they run a number of other sort of hubs like this. But yeah, so it's quite unique. It's going to have rooms at some point, and we can get around to it. I mean, rooms that aren't absolutely repulsive, like
as in hotel rooms.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
For stag do's and
hotel rooms.
Stag do's and hen do's.
I don't think there'd be hotel rooms. I think they're rooms that you can go and stay in. Yeah, so that's sort of what we're up to now, just to sort of give ourselves some other things to do.
And that, again, that's quite a different thing, isn't it? I mean, it's not a software crowdfunding platform.
No. But our business really is about people. It's digital, but it's also about people. And actually, people who come into our office are the same people who are interfacing with our website 100 miles away. So it's like, some of the best projects that we have are people who walk in off the street and go, I've got an idea to do this. And we're the only platform really that can do that, because we're the only, it's not much. We're the only platform that have got a space that you can access and walk into, and we want to make that more accessible. So, we've had investment from Mother, in sort of the agency Mother. They're on our board, so one of the founding members, Mother, and we have similar sort of ideas about stuff in collaboration with them, because a lot of our best projects are all people doing stuff around there. They're in an amazing building in Shoreditch, and around them there's loads and loads of great crowdfunding projects, and if we can give them a place to collaborate and come to. Well, we've done 3 fundraisers through crowdfunding. It's hard work, so I don't know. I hope not. I don't know. We're in the journey at the moment. There's an exit at some point, but at the moment we're focusing on growth and actually sort of what we're doing every day. So I don't know. I'm not bottling the answer. I probably just don't have it right now.
I know certainly from my exit, I didn't know it was there until it came up.
Yeah.
It was like it just sort of appeared.
So we've had funny conversations when my business partner Rob flew to New York to go meet the investors behind Twitter, and it was all just stupid. It was just like they told us that we weren't valued, that we were too small for them to invest in or to buy or whatever like that. And it was just this isn't my world. It's like we just want to do crowdfunding and it's brilliant. We love it. So let's continue doing that and see where it goes.
Good approach. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you next month. Thank you, everybody.